welcome to Literary Hype. I am Stephanie, your Literary Hype Woman, with an author conversation from Romance GenreCon in Kansas City. Got the opportunity to sit down with Jayci Lee to talk about her most recent book, Booked on a Feeling, which is part of a series that you should definitely check out, as well as little hints about what is to come for her. Jayci is such a sweet woman, and I thoroughly enjoyed getting to talk to her. So without any further ado, here's my conversation with Jayci Lee. Welcome to Literary Hype. It's so great to have you on this.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to start with a fun question because it is one of the most relatable things I've seen on your Instagram, at least for me. And it was like, you're my people. You posted a while back that your hairdresser thought it was wild that you only get your hair done twice a year. I feel this. And you just got your hair done for this convention.
Yes. Oh, you outed me, but I outed myself on IG. Okay.
Yeah, you outed yourself. So
it's my fault. So my first book convention was April this year because I debuted during the pandemic. But when I do get out of the house and my mom mode, I want to put on my author hat and look presentable and put together. And it's good for me to occasionally have a reason to get my nails done and get my hair done and be out of my yoga pants.
I mean, the pandemic made yoga pants acceptable everywhere, so it's fine.
That's good because that's all I wear.
I mean, same. I'm wearing jeans today. This is me dressed up.
It's cute. I love the color of that t-shirt.
Oh, thanks.
So my color.
So talk a little bit about debuting during the pandemic. You've got 10 books out now, and the pandemic wasn't that far back. Talk about what it's been like for you to put out 10 books in 3.5 years.
It's been nuts. All right. So I debuted in 2020, and in February, my first Harlequin Desire, Temporary Wife Temptation, came out, and the following month in March, the lockdown happened. And by the time my rom-com debut, A Sweet Mess, came out in July of 2020, all the bookstores were closed. No physical bookstores were open at that time. So it was kind of bleak to debut as a rom-com author during that time. And a novella came out and 2 more Harlequins came out. So in 2020, during the peak of pandemic, I published 5 books. I think for considering the fact that it was during the pandemic, I did okay. There's no use wondering how I would have done if, there was no pandemic. It's just the way it is. And the way it happened for me, it's my normal. And now I'm adjusting to seeing people in real life and doing stuff like this, like getting my hair done and nails done and looking like a presentable, put together professional person.
It's no fun. I thought we were going to collectively agree during the pandemic that didn't matter and we didn't have to do anymore, but
I kind of like it. It gets me out of the mom mode, It's like the author me is put together and feminine, and I could go out and not be embarrassed. It's like, don't look at me.
I ran into someone I knew the other day while looking like a bum, and I was like, oh, man.
I know, it's the worst.
Take a minute. And you used to be a lawyer, which
yes.
You are not the first lawyer that I have talked to that has transitioned into writing romance.
No.
What was the transition like for you? And what was it about romance writing that sucked you away from the big fancy career that everyone's chasing?
So it happened for me in a not very fun way. I had to take a medical leave because basically I burnt out as a lawyer. And it took that almost catastrophic event for me to remember that I've been wanting to be a romance author since I was 14 because I started reading Harlequin when I was 13. And I'm like, gosh, I want to write one of these someday. I want to be a romance author. And like half a year before my 40th birthday, when I had my medical leave and I was home and I had time, I remembered that I wanted to write a romance novel. So I literally sat down and wrote A Sweet Mess first in 2 months, and then Temporary Wife Temptation in 3.5 to 4 months. Yeah.
Wow.
And then a couple of years after that, I signed my first contract with Harlequin, a 3-book contract, signed with my agent, signed another 3-book contract for my rom-coms with St. Martin's Press. And then suddenly I had 6 books under contract. So I had no choice but to transition into being a full-time romance author.
Having been someone who was in a high-pressure career, like news is also up there on the stress.
Oh my gosh.
How does it feel for you now to be living as a romance author compared to how the stress of being a lawyer?
I love it. I really do love it. I love writing and interacting with readers. Even interviews are fun. And it's not that being an author is stress-free. It's very, very stressful in a different way, in a very personal way, because as a lawyer, I am representing my client's rights and it's professional arm's length dealings at all times. Although it gets emotional at times when like opposing counsel attacks you personally, and I'm so non-confrontational. So that's one of the reasons that I didn't stay a lawyer, because you fight for a living. But it just, it was hard. But in like publishing, it's just definitely more personal because I put so much of myself into my books, especially Booked on a Feeling. It's about Lizzie, who's a lawyer, who's burnt out. It's like, sound familiar?
I was going to ask about that next, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's basically my journey, and I'm kind of rehashing it and thinking about it for the first time. And while I was writing Booked on a Feeling, I realized, wow, I really didn't like being a lawyer. It didn't really occur to me. I thought it was just a transition, one profession to another. I was, good at both jobs. It's just a different job. But no, I really didn't like being a lawyer. So I feel like if someone reading Booked on a Feeling doesn't like the book, I feel like they probably don't like me, because it's so much of me. So it just becomes a lot more personal. So you become a lot more vulnerable. So the stress is different, but it's there.
How do you take care of your mental health when you are putting so much of yourself into a book and like putting it out there for public discourse? How do you take care of yourself?
I do not read any Goodreads reviews or Amazon reviews. And any trade reviews that I read are read first by my editor or agent. And once they say, okay, you can read it, then I read it. I don't read any of the negative reviews because the complaints and criticism are going to be multifaceted. It's not like I could read and go, okay, I could better my craft and write a better book. It's not like that. I can't make everyone happy is going to be my conclusion anyways. So I have to write the book that I love and share the story that comes from within me as authentically as possible. So that's what I do. And I try to practice mindfulness and gratitude and all of that. It might sound like frou-frou, but that's really what is going to keep you healthy mentally,
And you mentioned that you have the rom-com series that's like got the more cutesy, we'll say traditional covers. And then you've got the Harlequins books that you write as well. Do you approach those differently when you're writing them?
My first Harlequin series, The Heirs of Hansel, were inspired by the Harlequin books that I read as a teenager. So I feel like I used a different voice when I approached those books. Like more, everything is a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more intense, a little more angsty. Book 1 was about the eldest sister, the cellist. Book 2 was about the second sister, the violinist. So the third book, Just a Few Fake Kisses, is the youngest, Chloe, and she plays the viola. And this is like the most trope-tastic book that I have ever written. I don't know how it got in there, but they all just got in there. It's fake dating, first of all. And then there's age gap. And there's secret identity, secret crush, brother's best friend.
You went all out.
Yeah, definitely. There's like a forbidden love aspect to it, as well as just funny, when you do fake dating things, they always turn out to have these hijinks moments. So it definitely has that. So Chloe decides to help her teenage crush, who is this violin virtuoso. And as a grown woman, she meets him. He's like 12 years her senior. And he is in some trouble with his image. He's like a total playboy, and he's about to lose sponsorship, and he needs that money to help build housing for underprivileged kids. So his wife died, and that was her passion, and he was living for her in a way and doing all of that. So to preserve all of that, Chloe jumps in and says, I'm his girlfriend, this, perfect Korean girl, violinist, perfect reputation, and now he's settled down and all of that. And they just have to not catch feelings, right? So, but spoiler, they're going to catch feelings.
Oops. Who would have guessed there was going to be feelings involved in a romance book?
I know.
But this trilogy really centers around music. What was it about the music world that made you want to write about it?
I've played music since I was 5, first grade, 6. I've played the piano until we immigrated to the U.S. when I was 9, at which time we couldn't afford a piano. So my parents got me a clarinet, and I played the clarinet up to college level, and I got TMJ, so I had to stop. But I've always had music in my life, and basically since I got my license when I was 16, my radio dial has been set to the local classical music station. So it just... For me, I've had crushes on violin virtuosos, and to me, string instruments are like the sexiest things. I'm like, why is there no Harlequin romance about musicians, especially string musicians? So I just decided to write it.
I mean, that's what you got to do. Write the story you want to read.
Exactly. Like it's my passion, and I get all giddy about it, and it's like, oh, so hot. I look at the covers, I'm like, oh my gosh.
They're great covers. Do you have any, so some people kind of look at Harlequin romance as kind of less than.
Yeah.
Does that ever, and with those kind of covers compared to the cutesy ones that are more commercial, does that ever get to you of people kind of looking down on that a little bit?
Since I avoid negative commentary for the most part, I guess I don't have immediately I don't get defensive about it or anything. And I've noticed that people love my Harlequin covers as much as they like my illustrated covers. I think it's just different tastes, and everyone's allowed to have different tastes. And just to clarify, writing a Harlequin novel is just as hard as writing a full-length, rom-com. You have to create characters and worlds and build this love story, but do it in 50,000 words, which means you're very restricted. But it doesn't mean you don't do all the behind-the-scenes work. You do all the work and extra work to make it shorter. So I don't think the quality of Harlequin novels is subpar to any of the single titles. It's just quicker for you guys to read and cheaper to buy, honestly.
Exactly. Like, there's so much judgment in the book space of like what qualifies as a good book, or like shaming amongst romance different, like, oh, you like that, and it's just bullcrap. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I hate it, honestly.
It's like devaluing art does not make another art better.
No. Yeah, it's you don't need to, if you don't like something, you don't like something. Like I said, different people have different tastes, and there's, you have no business butting your head in and, talking crap about them. Sorry.
And with your gorgeous covers for your Harlequin books, how special was it for you as someone who came from Korea to see Asians on the covers of these books?
So when I got the cover for Temporary Wife Temptation, where there are two Asian American people, main characters, the couple on the cover were Asian Americans. I'm clearly excited about this. I actually posted it on Twitter, and I remember crying. I'm like about to cry right now. I was just bawling because I checked with my editor, and he checked with his boss, and it's the first Harlequin Desire with Asian American people on the cover. I'm gonna cry. And I was just thinking, a 14-year-old me would be really proud. Yes. So I was thrilled to see that, and I'm so proud to have put 6 books out there with Asian American people on the cover.
And like, Korea is having such a cultural wave here in the US.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like getting to tell more, like highlight the culture for your characters? Like Booked on a Feeling, they're talking about Korean food and there's Korean words.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst all of this Korean attention,
yeah,
what is that like for you, seeing your homeland get all this love right now?
It's exciting and interesting for such a tiny country to have so much talent and influence all over the world. But I also want to distinguish that Korean culture and Korean American culture is different. And I write about Korean Americans, and has really not much to do with K-pop or K-dramas, except to the point where my characters consume them. They're watchers, listeners, just like any other American. So in some ways, it's exciting to see acceptance of the Korean culture. But I also don't want to say, hi, I'm Korean American, and they say, oh, do you like BTS? Because that's not all that I am.
Another source of representation that we see, especially in Booked on a Feeling, is the mental health representation. And that has become so much more common in American books right now. What was it like for you putting this character's anxiety out front and center? And like, it's not a thing that defines her, just a thing that she deals with.
Mm-hmm. That is also part of personal experience. As an attorney, I experience anxiety and panic attacks, and it's not talked about enough. It's important that we normalize therapy, we normalize taking medication. I make it a point to say Lizzie takes medication, but there's such taboo against mental illness. No one blinks an eye if you say you have diabetes. They don't judge you for taking insulin. But if you have a mental health issue and you take medication so that you could have a better life and not be ill, because psychological health affects physical health, it's about whole body, whole soul health, right? So I think it's important to shine light on that and get the conversation going and make people less embarrassed about talking about their own journey. So it's important to me to, in daily life, to mention, oh, my therapist or my psychiatrist, I see them for this and that. It just needs to be talked about. And I want to help other people who have gone through anxiety and depression to feel seen and heard. And yeah, it doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's just something that you deal with like every other challenge in your life. And you deserve a happy ending too.
You have a little kind of like catchphrase that's on your website, pamper your heart.
Yes.
What does that mean to you, and what do you hope people take away from that phrase?
Oh, I was so excited when I came up with that little catchphrase, like it's my jingle, right? If I'm the brand, Jayci Lee, romance writer, pamper your heart's my jingle. And for me, romance writing and reading just made me happy, made my heart full and joyous and healthy. And, I want my readers to get that. When they read my books, I want it to be like self-care. They could escape into this world. They could laugh. They could cry a little if I make you do that too. And just, it'll be like going to the spa. I want it to have that almost therapeutic effect on my readers, just to heal them as books have healed me.
So sweet. I love it.
Oh.
And something I've seen on your Instagram that is so much fun is your flat Jack that you've been traveling with. So Jack is the hero of Booked on a Feeling.
Yes.
And he's wearing his tool belt.
Yes.
Because Lizzie loves him in a tool belt.
Yes. Makes her a horny girl.
Oh, yes. Very much so. Love it. So talk a little bit about how that came to be that you started taking flat Jack with you on these trips.
So I did this book box with amazing authors, and it's called the Book Boyfriend Box, and they wanted to make bookmarks based on my characters. And I just wanted to mention this part because I'm like, he must be wearing a tool belt. That was like my one request, that he has to be wearing a tool belt. But I love Jack. He's like my only book boyfriend to date. And there's Flat Stanley, right? But then there's Flat Jack, my Jack. But it also kind of sounds like Flapjack. And I just love little word games and puns and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm going to do Flapjack. And, since I never leave the house, when we actually left the house on vacation, I'm like, I'm going to take Jack with me. And he's going to be in all the pictures. And it was actually like really fun in terms of making conversation, because we would go on tours and whatnot, and then I would like whip him out, and they're like, who's that? I'm like, this is Flat Jack.
Let me tell you about Jack.
And then he's like, who is Flat Jack? He's in my rom-com. I'm an author. So like it allowed me to share my work a little bit, which it's embarrassing to do out of the blue. You don't go, hi, yeah, we're doing this whitewater rafting and I'm an author. It's like, but Jack helped me do that. And he loves the outdoors. And I knew I was going to go whitewater rafting. And there's a scene on Booked on a Feeling where he and Lizzie go whitewater rafting. So I just wanted to recreate that in some sense. So that's why Flat Jack. That's how Flat Jack came about.
I love it so much. It's so cute. It's like you see, like I had a little Batman that I travel with and take pictures. So like it's awesome to see that I'm not the only person who is taking pictures of inanimate objects with surroundings. I love it.
That's cute. I love that.
So what's coming up next for you? I hear you have a very entertaining trilogy on the way.
So it's gonna be 3 standalones, but they're all Jane Austen inspired. I am not going to say that it's a Jane Austen retelling. I am simply a fan of her writing and her books. So I have written my first book, That Princess Mine, as sort of like a fanfic where I took Emma and I took Mr. Knightley. Mr. Knightley in my book is Michel Chevalier. Chevalier means knight, so he's Knightley. And the prince.
See what you did there. I
Yeah.
see what you did there.
So I have Emma and, Mr. Knightley, and I put them in a different situation. He's a prince looking for his true love so that he doesn't have to marry his childhood friend based on an arranged marriage his parents, their parents put together when he was a kid. And there's some struggle about him dealing with the prospect, the responsibility and sometimes burden of, wearing the crown. And he understands it's a privilege, but he wanted to marry someone he loved and do it with someone he loved by his side. Even though it's his duty to do this, he's going to dedicate his life to it. But he wanted one thing that he could choose for himself. And that's Emma. He chose Emma. But Emma is the goddaughter of a famous Korean American matchmaker. They're called Madame Du. And it's this whole culture where they take all your background information, your family's background information, and you are matched up. And you go out on this first date or first meetup called matson, and that's how you meet. And if you hit it off, then you go on a second date, and a few days later, you decide to get married. That's the whole point, that they're meeting to get married. They just have to see if they're compatible. And the Madame Du method is what Emma chooses for herself: arranged marriage, right, based on compatibility and common background. So these two meet, and they're at very opposite points and philosophy about marriage and all of that. So I had a lot of fun putting them together. And Emma is very Emma-like. She is put together, knows her mind. She has everything figured out. That's what she thinks. And that, I feel like that kind of sums up Jane Austen's Emma. She knows everything. She knows best what's good for herself as well as others. So my Emma has that quality. Mr. Knightley is very polite and well-mannered, but also has really strong character and everything I love about Mr. Knightley. So those are the characters transplanted into this story.
I am so here for this. When is it coming out?
It's coming out on July 30th, 2024.
Oh, happy birthday to me. Yeah, just so if you want to send me a copy for my birthday next year, everyone.
It's literally your birthday?
31st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's right next to it.
Okay, that's close enough. Because everyone forgets that July has a 31st anyways.
I mean, it's true. Other than Harry Potter fans. Because it's Harry Potter Day.
I see. Okay.
I share a birthday with Harry Potter.
That makes you extra special. Extra special.
I love it. I should know. Snacks. This is like, who brought the snacks?
One thing, that Princess Mine, I have to, I don't want to say warn, but share with my readers that it is a lot more steamier than my Sweet Mess series.
Ooh.
So this is perhaps desire level or even slightly more. Sexy.
Shucks. Love it. Love it. Love it. Very eagerly awaiting that book's arrival. So we're at a book festival.
Yes.
With other authors. What has the writing community meant to you over the last couple of years?
Everything. Everything. The romance writing community specifically, because I don't know the other writing communities, and I've heard things, and that's hearsay, I won't share. But the romance writing community that I have met and that I had the privilege to interact with have been the most generous, giving group of women authors and just authors that I've ever met. And giving forward, you're taught to give forward as soon as you're accepted into this community, because that's what happened to me. Of course, that's all I know. I'm going to do it again, for others. So other Asian American romance authors being published, I'm so excited that there's more and more of us, like 5. But it's better than, 1 or 2, maybe 10. But I'm kidding, there's more of us. But I'm really excited for the new authors getting published, so I try to blurb for them, and if they have questions about writing process, about publishing, I try to give them my best advice. Any new authors or aspiring authors, I tell them rejection is part of this profession. You're going to get rejected again and again. There's no such thing as established author where you just, never have to hear the word no from your publisher or your agent. You're going to keep hearing it. You're going to get your no's. You just have to roll with it. I mean, you could cry for a day, but, have a tub of ice cream and move on, eat ice cream and carry on. So, that's
Here
a good
for the
advice.
ice cream. Yes. Forget keep calm and carry on. Eat ice cream and carry on.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, but there's a secret project and an announcement coming soon. Ah.
The last question we always ask is, because this is Literary Hype, what books are you hyped about?
Wow. See, I always, without fail, blink out when asked that questions because there's so many good books. But before coming to this book convention, I wanted to read as many of the authors as I can. So I read Dating Dr. Dill and loved it. I read The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. It was so good. It broke me. And it's just, I'm going to fangirl when I meet her. Megan Bennett, right? Yeah, okay.
I kind of want to watch this moment happen.
I know. I'll squeal a little and pass out maybe gracefully. It'll be fine.
Everything is fine.
It's fine. I'm so cool. Chill.
Well, thank you so much for doing this and taking time away while you're at Romance Genre Con to talk about your 10 book babies.
Oh my gosh. And my 11th, thank you for letting me share that.
And apparently more on the way.
Yes. I am pregnant with many books.
Sneaky secrets.
Yes. So I hate tweeting, but then I still love it. It makes me so curious. So vague interview thing. I am an author. I am articulate.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks again to Jayci for taking the time out of her Romance Genre Con schedule to sit down and talk with me about her books, especially Booked on a Feeling and her upcoming ones, That Prince Is Mine. Links for all of these books are down below in the description, so make sure you get a hold of them and use those links because it does help support the channel, and your support is greatly appreciated. Another way you can support this channel is by clicking that like button on this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel if you've not done so already, so please do that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.